Jai Hind, Namaskar, Pranam. Today we are going to have a discussion on Manipur. Uh, मैं अपने इस डिस्कशन को ओपन करूंगा जस्टिस मृदुल जो कि फॉर्मर चीफ जस्टिस थे मणिपुर हाई कोर्ट के उनकी स्टेटमेंट से। और वो कहते हैं कि एक कोई इनविजिबल हाथ है मणिपुर मणिपुर की सिचुएशन में, जो जब भी थोड़ा ठीक हो रही होती है इन एकदम से एक ऐसा इंसिडेंट होता है कि दोबारा जो सिचुएशन है वो खराब हो जाती है। सिक्योरिटी के लिहाज से एक नया चैलेंज पेश करती है। और इन सब चीज़ों को डिस्कस करने के लिए, क्योंकि हमने इसके ऊपर पहले भी कई डिस्कशन कर चुके हैं, बोथ स्ट्राइव में भी किया हुआ है और हमने क्लॉज के चैनल पे भी किया हुआ है। मैं अपने व्यूअर्स को बता दूं कि ये जो डिस्कशन हो रहा है लाइव डिस्कस हो रहा है दोनों क्लॉज पर भी और स्ट्राइव स्ट्राइव चैनल पर भी। तो इस समय क्या हुआ है कि कुछ ही दिन पहले दोबारा वायलेंस हुआ, दोबारा कुकी और माइती ग्रुप्स के बीच में ये दोबारा एक झड़प सी हुई है, काफ़ी नुकसान भी हुआ है। तो क्या ये सिर्फ कुकी और माइती रिलेटेड इश्यूज हैं कि इसमें कुछ और भी ज़्यादा है, कुछ और भी फैक्टर्स हैं? देयर आर मेनी अदर फैक्टर्स व्हिच आर working in this situation. I think we need to take a call on it, and the best person to actually open this discussion today is our मेन गेस्ट टुनाइट, लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल के एच सिंह, रिटायर्ड, और ये अभी एडवाइजर भी हैं उस जगह पर। तो मेरे ख्याल से इनसे अच्छा, और ये इसके पहले इंसर्जेंसी जैसी सिचुएशन, टेररिज्म जैसी सिचुएशन को काफ़ी डिटेल में डील कर चुके हैं। जब वो 16 कोर कमांडर वगैरह भी थे, तो उनके पास एक ग्राउंड एक्सपीरियंस भी है और एक स्ट्रेटेजिक और पॉलिटिकल एक्सपीरियंस भी है उनके पास। तो मैं जनरल के एच से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा, आई रिक्वेस्ट हिम टू ओपन द डिस्कशन बाय द फैक्ट दैट how do you see the current situation? Why isn't it stopping for the last, in fact the whole thing started on 3rd of May 2023 and it is now 25, we are about to reach 25 day after tomorrow. So why is the situation continuing to boil, and how do you see the situation now going further from here, sir? Over to you, Janal KS.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jan Dushant. Then I'm very happy to be invited by Strive Defense Dialogue once again with my respected General Chaturvedi, Brigadier Rakesh Bhatia, Colonel R.P. Singh. In my view, Dushyant, you made this very relevant comment about retired Chief Justice of High Court of Manipur, who said about the invisible hands. I do not know who are the invisible hands, but the fact on the ground is that thousands and thousands of weapons are circulating in the society,
Okay.
and hundreds and thousands of crores rupees of illegal money are also circulating all around. My view is that as long as illegal money rules the roost, and as long as thousands and thousands of weapons are in circulation, the intentions can change overnight because of the prevailing situation, of which we will, you rightly said, we'll discuss later. Brigadier Rakesh Bhatia is going to deal with that.
Yes.
So, मेरा ये कहना है कि जो इतने कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के तौर पर शुरू हुआ था ये मामला, हमारे ये सोचना है कि ये इट इज टर्निंग इनटू अ सीरियस नेशनल सिक्योरिटी कंसर्न फॉर द एंटायर कंट्री because of the geopolitics and also the ground situation which is obtaining there. So I see the situation. I don't see very solution as such in the near future. What I see is that greater focus on conflict resolution rather than conflict management is what I'm looking at, with the change in the governor, not change, with the posting of a new governor. and also in Mizoram, General Vike Singh is there. So I see some forceful effort from the stakeholders towards some kind of a conflict resolution, um, and the business as usual is not going to work out. So to sum it up, to your question or to your comment, I'll say that it is very difficult to predict what is going to happen. There has been some absence of violence, but that does not necessarily indicate towards peace as such.
Okay, sir, you have mentioned two, three things before I go to Brigadier Bhatia. Firstly, you have said that it is becoming a serious national security concern. That goes without saying. Now, related to this is if you look at the conflict management part, which you suggested that we should not focus on conflict management, but we should focus on conflict resolution. Now, conflict resolution will be more of a political in nature, and conflict management is more of a security forces in nature. Now, there has been some voices which are coming out from the area. वहाँ से कुछ आवाजें ऐसी आती हैं कि जो लोकल सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस हैं वो तो सपोर्ट करते हैं अ, जो माइतीस को, और जो सेंट्रल सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस हैं वो सपोर्ट करते हैं कुकीज को। ये इस तरह की नैरेटिव कौन बना रहा है और क्यों बना रहा है? कुड यू जस्ट थ्रो सम लाइट ऑन इट, बिकॉज दिस इज स्प्रेडिंग ऑल ओवर इन द न्यूज मीडिया एंड ऑल, so people are trying to take advantage of the fluid situation there. So I think we need to clarify this issue to the people that what is the real ground situation.
Firstly, I agree with you that political dialogue is the beginning of a conflict resolution, and
Okay.
I have said so in a forum just a few days back in Kolkata,
Mhm.
because of which actually I was grilled by many people, and I also grilled others. so
Okay.
so
Okay.
that issue has been discussed at the important with the important people, and also comments by very negative forces also have come in the social media. I
Yes.
think I was the first one to say about the political dialogue.
Okay.
Now, your question as to um, as to what was the second part of your question?
Second part is the conflict management part. There seems to be a divide between the central forces and the
Okay, okay.
state.
I I really don't see a divide, but yes, there are certain issues. There are points of convergence and how they look at it, and at the same time, there are some friction points.
Okay.
Convergence,
Okay.
convergence, because the entire security machinery is under the security advisor, and they are along with the Director General of Police. They
Mhm.
are the tactical or operational kind of control. It does not mean that government of Manipur under the Home Ministry or a Chief Minister or something they are divested of any power. This is something that needs to be solved there, because so there is um, structurally there is a convergence, but on the ground what has happened is that suspicions and uh, you know the actions which have happened, like for example the CRPF, in Jiribam they killed that 10 Kuki militants.
Yes.
That has been seen as that certain forces like CRPF and others are anti a particular group. And
Okay.
then that is one example. Other example is like certain other central forces, like in the social media people are blaming some other security forces like Assam Rifles and all, because it's not because of, there may have been some isolated cases which people perceive that when two parties are at such a loggerhead between the two armed groups or armed volunteers, whatever you call them, there is bound to be suspicion. there is bound to be, suspicion about their intent and their actions. So overall, I think um, this is a uh, this is a negative narrative which needs to be dealt with, and to a large extent it is being. But I won't say that it has been successful, because there are very negative perceptions uh, about a particular force or the other. So that is true. Whatever you made a sense, that is true. But I says, as long as they structurally they are coherent, they're in the same page. I think
Okay.
sooner or later they will have to. I think they will have to come on. It's question of leadership. It is a question of uh, directive. What directive? What orders are you giving finally to these security forces?
Sir, I'll come back to you after I take a comment from Brigadier Bhatia.
Yeah,
But I leave that question with you so that you can prepare a response.
yeah,
What I'm trying to say is that you referred to something like a unified command with the DGP, etc., being there in the in Manipur. But you have been part of a unified command in a very active manner in JNK. So between the two situations, I know both situations are different; they can't be compared to each other. But still, do you think the best practices of the JNK model is being taken in Manipur or not? So you could think over it, sir, and then in the second round, I'll come and ask you about this. Over to Bhatia. Bhatia, no
Sir,
situation, no situation actually is a product of one factor, right? So whether it is Manipur or whether it is JNK, there are a number of factors which are involved in creating a situation. किसी situation को बीच में किसी situation को आगे बढ़ने में कई सारे factors आते हैं. Now मणिपुर के साथ भी ऐसी ही कुछ कहानी है. तो it is not only Kuki and Maiti and basically tribe ethnic. It's not only ethnic conflict. अगर आप उसमें डिटेल में जाएंगे तो there is a crime element, there is an external element. तो आप एक इंटेलिजेंस के विशेषज्ञ हैं, you have been an intelligence expert. Could you throw some light into the factors which are external in nature and also internal in nature but covert? That means they are operating under the radar and people are not able to see that. So I hope you understand मैं क्या आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ.
I got your point.
तो इन दोनों चीजों का आई वांट अ response so that our public is fully aware as to what is actually happening beyond the mighty cookie confrontation which is taking place. People are taking advantage of this confrontation. Of course, that is the way a game is played in geopolitics. Over to you.
So once again, good evening to you and Kate sir. Sir, good evening, sir. Sir, कोई ऐसी सिचुएशन कभी भी आपके अगेंस्ट और आपके एडवर्सरी छोड़ेगा नहीं जहां पे उसको कुछ भी मौका मिलता है आपको हार्म कॉज करने का. देयर इज नो डाउट सर कि अगर हमारी पेरिफेरी सिक्योर नहीं है तो हमारी कोर कभी भी सिक्योर नहीं हो सकती. So
बिल्कुल.
Manipur is a peripheral state, and whatever trouble has to start from Manipur or from the periphery. अब इस केस में who could be the interested party? सबसे पहले आपकी नजर और आपका जो ध्यान है वो चाइना की तरफ जाता है. जब मैंने इस टॉपिक के ऊपर रिसर्च करनी शुरू की तो एक बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग चीज मेरे को दिखी मैप के ऊपर, जो कि सैटेलाइट इमेजरी. अगर आप इस सैटेलाइट इमेजरी में देखते हैं तो जो कवरेज जनवरी से अप्रैल 2023 की मेरे को देखने को मिली, उसमें अगर आप देखें तो सबसे ज्यादा एफर्ट जो है वो नागालैंड मणिपुर के एरिया में और या पूरे नॉर्थ ईस्ट में चाइनीज सैटेलाइट ने की. टोटल जनवरी से अप्रैल तक 12 सैटेलाइट्स ने 22,610 फोटोग्राफ्स लिए. That means 196 images per day, 8 images per hour, and 78% of the total images were of Northeast. That extends right from Arunachal going down to Manipur and Mizoram. तो ये एक हमारा इंडिकेशन है कि ये चाइना का क्या इंटरेस्ट हो सकता है, और उसी इंटरेस्ट को आगे देखते हुए चाइना इज लुकिंग एट दिस प्लेस एज ए जियोपॉलिटिकल गेम, एंड एट द फेस ऑफ इट हमको ऐसा लग रहा है कि ये इंटरनल पॉलिटिक्स या एथनिक डिवाइड जो कि हम बात करते हैं उसका है, लेकिन ये असल कहानी जो मेरे को लगती है एज ए इंटेलिजेंस ऑफिसर, इट इज कि ये तो जियोपॉलिटिक्स है, और चाइना कोई जियोपॉलिटिकल लीवरेज अगर उसको मिलती है वो इनस्टेबल अपने एडवर्सरी को करने के लिए कोई मौका नहीं छोड़ेगा। हमको ये नहीं भूलना चाहिए सर कि मणिपुर इज अ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट ज्योग्राफिकली फॉर अस टू हैव द लुक ईस्ट पॉलिसी। वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट इंडो म्यांमार ट्राइलेटरल हाईवेज, we are talking about strengthening this region, so और बहुत कुछ जो है हमारा नेटवर्क है गो ईस्ट में, स्पेशली इन साउथ ईस्ट एशिया। जब हम साउथ ईस्ट एशिया की बात करते हैं तो म्यांमार एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कंट्री है। चाइना हमेशा ही साउथ ईस्ट कंट्रीज को अपना बैकयार्ड समझता है, उसको ये लगता है कि साउथ ईस्ट कंट्री में तो मेरा ही रूल होगा और किसी कंट्री को वहां पर इंटरफेयर नहीं करने चाहिए। दूसरी चीज सर जो मेरे को लगता है, आज चाइना का इंटरेस्ट ये है कि हमारे इंडियन आर्मी को और इंडियन फोर्सेस को कहीं ना कहीं इंगेज करके रखा जाए, और मणिपुर की इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी सिचुएशन इस तरह की है कि हमारी फोर्सेस का ध्यान जो है हमारे बॉर्डर एरिया जो तिब्बत के साथ पड़ते हैं उसकी एक लिवरेज जो है वो चाइना उठा सकता है।
आपने
जलकेत सर,
आपने दो तीन अच्छी बातें बताई हैं कि भाई पहली चीज जो जियो पॉलिटिकली इम्पोर्टेंट है वो है कि द चाइना जो चाहता है कि इंडिया एंगेज रहे, इंटरनली ओरिएंटेड रहे, नॉर्दर्न बॉर्डर के बदले वो सदर्न इलाके में अपना ध्यान बटाए, ताकि उसको उतना आसान हो अपने एलएसी के ऊपर एक्टिविटीज करने का। लेकिन इसमें दो फैक्टर और मैं आप चाहूंगा कि आप उसके ऊपर यू थ्रो सम लाइट ऑन दैट। फर्स्टली इज the role of the Myanmari rebel forces in Manipur,
करेक्ट,
that is one. Secondly, the terror groups which are taking shelter across इन म्यांमार
यस,
म्यांमार, क्योंकि आज जो म्यांमार है वो एक बहुत ही लूजली एडमिनिस्टर्ड एरिया हो गया है। किसी की रेट कहीं
एब्सोल्युटली,
पर है, किसी की रेट कहीं पर है। ऑलमोस्ट जो म्यांमार गवर्नमेंट है, मिलिट्री junta है, वो 40% के इलाके में सिमट के रह गई है। सिटीज वगैरह में उसका
करेक्ट सर,
थोड़ा है, बट जितने भी पेरिफेरीज है उनकी, वो सारी रिबेल फोर्सेस ने कंट्रोल कर रखी हैं।
एब्सोल्युटली,
उनका क्या रोल है? और दूसरा जो नारकोटिक एंगल है, उनका क्या रोल
यस,
है कि बार बार ये सिचुएशन को कहीं वो तो नहीं खराब कर रहे हैं किसी तरह से मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग करके, पैसा दे करके।
बिल्कुल
वेपन्स तो जनरल केज ने बोला कि चारों तरफ इतने वेपन्स घूम रहे हैं
करेक्ट,
कि कोई भी हथियार किसी को पकड़ा देता है, वो करता है। आग चिंगारी लगता है, और चिंगारी लगने के बाद आग लगने में तो टाइम लगता नहीं है, इमीडिएटली
यस।
द एंटायर सिचुएशन एक्सप्लोड्स। जस्ट थ्रो सम लाइट ऑन दीज टू इंपॉर्टेंट इश्यूज
I'll
बिफोर।
just cover sir. I have one point left for China sir. उसके बाद मैं म्यांमार पे बात करता हूँ सर। As far
ओके।
as China is concerned sir, let's not forget sir, Myanmar is a part of BRIC, जो चाइना म्यांमार इकोनॉमिक कॉरिडोर है, akin to what चाइना पाकिस्तान इकोनॉमिक कॉरिडोर है उसके बराबर का जो है। अभी सर, कनेक्टिंग टू व्हाट यू आर सेइंग, चाइना डज नॉट वांट एनी इंस्टेबिलिटी इन म्यांमार, और उसका एक तरीका ये है क्योंकि ये जो कुकी चिन एक कॉम्बिनेशन है, दे आर इन म्यांमार, दे आर अगेंस्ट द म्यांमारीज गवर्नमेंट। अभी ये कुकी और मेटीज की जो प्रॉब्लम मणिपुर में करने से उन्होंने क्या किया है कि जितने कुकी और चिन जो वहां म्यांमार गवर्नमेंट के अगेंस्ट लड़ रहे थे, अभी उसका सर जो है वो मणिपुर की तरफ हो गया। सो देयर बाय रिड्यूसिंग वन एलिमेंट, एन इंपॉर्टेंट एलिमेंट इन देयर म्यांमारीज इंसर्जेंसी अगेंस्ट देयर नेशनल गवर्नमेंट। म्यांमार का सर एक और इंटरेस्ट इसके अंदर जो मेरे को नजर आता है वो ये है कि मिलिट्री हुंता जो है वो वहां पर मिलिट्री जो पावर है वो चल रही है वहां पर। अभी म्यांमार को ये लगता है कि हो सकता है इंडिया में प्ले ए रोल इन क्रिटिसाइजिंग द the happenings that are there in Manipur by supporting, because हमारी past में we have supported the human rights and pro-democratic groups in Myanmar, चाहे वो औसा सूची की एनएलडी हो या उनका स्टूडेंट विंग हो। अभी इस तरह से इंडिया को एंगेज करके फिर हमारी जो ध्यान और तवज्जो है वो इंटरनल सिचुएशन पे जारी है, और म्यांमार के अगेंस्ट हम ना कोई स्टेटमेंट दे रहे हैं। इट इज बेसिकली सर लाइक मैनेजिंग आवर ओन होम, सो दे आर फोर्सिंग यू टू डू दैट। तो
व्हाट अबाउट जो
रिफ्यूजी
का जो एंगल है,
सॉरी सर,
जो ड्रग्स और उसका एंगल के बारे में
हाँ सर, आई एम जस्ट कमिंग टू दैट, आई एम जस्ट कमिंग टू सर। अभी जो ड्रग्स वेपन ये जो एंगल है सर, अगर वो इंडिया में आके कंज्यूम हो रहे हैं तो म्यांमार को अपना फायदा है, क्योंकि उनकी कंट्री में वो कंज्यूम नहीं हो रहे हैं। दे आर बीइंग प्रोड्यूस्ड देयर एंड मनी इज बीइंग अर्न्ड बाय सेलिंग दिस इन इंडियन टेरिटरी। So it is economically, there are, armed forces are hands in glove with the smugglers, with the dealers, जो कि वहां पर है। And in fact, Kuki community is notorious for supplying maximum amount of these drugs and smuggling weapons, because their population is living on both sides of the border. So that is the reason they are engaging। अभी कुकीज भी इस काम में हैं। और लेट्स नॉट फॉरगेट सर, ब्रिटिशर्स ने ओपीएम वॉर से ही चाइना की इकोनॉमी और चाइना को कैप्चर किया था, जो शंघाई और हांगकांग और उसका वो था। तो उस वजह से भी सर जो म्यांमार है वो उसको सपोर्ट कर रहा है, ड्रग्स और वेपन्स जो आ रहे हैं। नाउ फ्रॉम वेयर आर दीज ड्रग्स कमिंग? Myanmar is a part of that golden triangle where we're talking about Thailand, Laos, and Myanmar. So all these drugs are coming from there. There is no dearth of weapon in Thailand. So this is the economy that is working based on creating internal disturbances and usage of weapon, drugs, and like I said, involvement of China. China has deep pockets. They want us to be destabilized. So ये combination जो है, this is working, and probably Myanmar is working as a conduit for all this purpose. Very quickly sir, यूएस के बारे में भी बात होती है। यूएस का भी इंटरेस्ट यहाँ पर है, मे बी नॉट डायरेक्टली, लेकिन in the form of human right, they can actually again tell India that we are indulging in human rights. So there is a stick to talk about us in the international fora that India is committing, and there are narratives and there are commentaries from US media on that. Then in the name of NGOs and charity, now US is playing double game. They are also getting a entrance into the area to keep an eye on China as well as on India on what is happening, because कोई भी एनजीओ जो है वो बिना इंटेलिजेंस के काम के, उनका एक सेकंड नेचर होता है जिसके ऊपर वो इंटेलिजेंस का काम करते हैं। सो नाउ दे हैव अ एलिबाई एंड अ रीजन टू बी देयर एंड देन कैरिंग आउट दिस सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग। सो दिस इज माय टेक ऑन दीस थ्री कंट्रीज व्हिच आई थिंक आर प्रोबेबली इन्वॉल्व्ड। ओवर टू यू।
Quickly sir, three points for General KH, and then we will ask General Chaturvedi to crystal gaze a little on this very complex situation. Various issues have been. First question was about the conflict management, the model between JNK and Manipur. How do they compare to each other? That is one. The second question is Bhatia has raised issue of drugs. He has raised issue of religion also, in the sense that there seems to be some groups which are trying to play on the evangelist and the Christian issues also in that area, because cookies are mostly believed to be mostly following that particular thing. So there are similar comments also coming in the comment box. So the first factor is the model. Factor is the religion, and the third factor is the third factor which I want you to comment is on the crime and drugs. So all these three situations, which are more internally abated from across, but more internally they are affecting the Manipur situation. How do you see them creating violence periodically after every 2-3 months when the situation is about to become normal?
Is it for me?
Yes, sir. That's for you, sir.
Okay. To begin with, about the Unified Command, you must have known that in Manipur, the Unified Command is chaired by the Security Advisor. Though
Yes.
though there is a footnote kind of a thing where the Honorable Chief Minister can also call for meetings of the Unified Command. That is the only difference as far as the structure is concerned. But the best practices from Jammu and Kashmir, what I feel, is that the trust deficit
Okay.
between the various agencies in Manipur uh, exists, and in Jammu and Kashmir, it was really not there. At various levels. So what I suggest is that there should be a little more interaction, and this regular meetings won't do. Actually, it has to be a little greater interaction in terms of at various levels, right from inspector level to company commanders to like that. So that is one possible. The second issue is that. The Manipur police is seen to be, it is almost divided as of now between the non-cookie groups and the cookie groups. So
Okay.
this now, if you followed up, there was IRB battalion, two IRB battalions which passed
Yes.
out from the Sun, and
Correct.
the authorities told me that they will be operating together. So let's see how it works out on ground, because as of now, it will require very excellent leadership to make that happen. That is that is the first part. The second part, you mentioned about the drugs, and yeah, I fully agree with what Brigadier Bhatia has said. Only thing is that Manipur also contributes considerable amount of in the drug economy, because I have said it before that ये जो golden triangle है, it appears to have shifted westwards to some extent because it is a huge kind of a
Yeah.
economy there also. So
Yeah.
that is the other part. And now, to complicate matters, the situation in Bangladesh, as you
Yes.
that is a very serious dimension in the making unless it is handled well. Uh, in the last webinar dialogue, I did mention about the Great Game East. This is what basically Dushyant was talking about, where China's interest is in Bay of Bengal, and our interest is in Southeast Asia. So it is actually physically and also strategically it is clashing. So there is bound to be some kind of a challenge on this front. How we navigate is somehow the stakeholders जो आपने बताया PDF के, how the even some of the militant groups from Manipur are believed to be in collusion with the military, Burmese military. And whereas some of the groups of the PDF are actually taking part in the mess in Manipur. So it's a very, very complex, and the whole thing is very, very challenging. I mean, you have to see to believe it there how people of Manipur are suffering actually, and and beyond that, the future is not very bright. I have said so in as far as national security imperatives are concerned, and I have said so openly in many forums. So I'm very happy that Strive is actually striving to get it to the national platform. And the third point you said was about uh,
About the religious angle, is that
re-
also playing up, or that's a minor
religious.
issue?
See, no, actually, even that, though there is no way that can take place, but the fact is that Sheikh Hasina herself mentioned about it. And I know that some intelligence agencies of ours are also, tending to believe such kind of a uh, existence of such a plot. And if you see that in the region, we have uh, some statements from Mizoram, some states from Nagaland, and in fact, NSA and IM openly says it is Nagalim for Christ and all that. So therefore, it cannot be totally ruled out. I mean, we should be prepared, but as of now, I don't see that force is getting traction as of now. But it has all the potential for a serious challenge, along with the other factors that we have discussed so far.
Oh, okay. So that has been a very good base to actually explain what is currently happening. I now move to Janal Chaturvedi. Sir, you've heard the experts on the ground and in the domain. On the ground is Janal KH, and in the domain is Brigadier Bhatia. Uh, what the situation can be summarized is that there are a number of factors operating in Manipur. The trigger was the decision which was taken by the high court long time back. That was only the trigger. Things were brewing up from quite some time. Now the situation is, sir, that there are 60,000 people in relief camps, and there are 60,000 security forces. Rough, a broad figure as per open source. We are not going by the actual information. Actual information may be totally different. Then inflation is sky high. Then people are unable to move through normal routes, that is land routes. Most of them are flying into Imphal and going out of Imphal. The situation on the ground for common public is very very difficult. In fact, one of the persons, chief justice, he commented that he brings his, whenever he goes to Delhi, he brings his vegetable from Delhi. Now that's maybe an exaggeration of the situation, but given all these complexities, how do you see the situation getting some kind of a forward movement? Do you think the change of governors will be enough, or do you think that there is a need for what many of the people in the opposition are talking about, that imposing a president's rule may be the right way to enforce a kind of an integrated approach to control the situation, purely looking from an outsider and not from inside? So these two things I would like you to comment on, sir.
Uh, Dushit, I think the most of the issues which impinge on the situation in Manipur, they have already been addressed. Say, just to summarize them, that there is a illegal money, there is a illegal drugs, there is there is a illegal weapons which are there. Then interest of China substantially, that China's interest to put a wedge between India and Southeast Asia, and his U.S. interest. What I visualize, that if you see all these and the religious angle, if you recall the statement of Chief Minister of Mizoram in U.S. two statement 2 days, they put the things in perspective, and then Muiba's statement when he talked of just Nagalia is for Christ and all those things. So what I'm saying is that with this kind of a situation, central government, for them there is a presently there is a Hobson's choice. If they decide to go for anything, I mean, substantially they got the votes last time of cookies in the elections, so they cannot totally neglect cookies. But at the same time, they can't ignore mighties also, because if you go for presidential elections or say sack the government of the day, mighties would be up in arms. So there is a presently there is a kind of a trust deficit between the two communities, which is having a very very major impact on all these things. My recommendation would be, in all such things, people to people contact, and that is where, say, someone of the stature of JLKH, and there are number of people from there, a lot of cookie army officers, cookie civil servants, and all those things. I think a different kind of a pressure group needs to be created. And I think in the present situation, my own reading is that the present government of the day, it needs to go. Probably we will have to do, because if you notice the internal situation in India, the deep state of US is trying to not only do the regime, they have been successfully done the regime change in Bangladesh, but that deep state is having a major say because the kind of a say political uh, uh, say landscape in the country is that we keep blaming the central government, keep blaming the central government. But is that, has anyone given a solution that this should be the way forward? No, none of them. They stuck only on one thing, that prime minister should visit, which is not such a major issue because in past also things happen and prime minister need not be there. It is, so my sense would be that presidential rule, and with someone now, probably they are moving in that direction with the, say, General VK Singh having assumed the governor's position. I think central government has to take a call and a tough decision. Probably the government of the day will have to put it suspended animation. 356 needs to be invoked, and that governor, unless he say kind of a controls the situation the way say it was done in JNK for 2 years, things are unlikely to improve because firstly we will have to disarm a lot of these militant groups. We'll have to check these what KH had mentioned, and we all know that say drug economy which has shifted westward. That's right, and this will have a, this narco issue is going to have a very major impact not only in Manipur, Mizoram, but even further west of it, the entire thing, because drug when it travels it does, it's not that it's only the courier take it forward, it is consumption also starts taking place. Punjab is a live example, Pakistan is a live example. So therefore my suggestion would be that now we cannot delay any further and quickly president's rule for at least for a period of 2 years, and where situation is, unless it is brought under control and someone as knowledgeable as KH and some other people, I'm sure there's a civil society, because that statement that judiciary is totally scot free, that stupid statement, the decision they have given, and which has say kind of a precipitated the situation, because these fault lines, an enemy to Indian national security setup, always they try to exploit, be it deep state of US and be it China. And there is a certain collusivity, may not be directly, but then both are trying to uh, say kind of a move their own interest. So my sense is that first and foremost is that this trust deficit has to be built up, for which a pressure group of civil society needs to be built up. And second is where there are sane people on both sides of the fence. I mean, after Kuki, Naga, and say they have been living together, all of them. So it's not that it is not possible, but all it is needed is that we need to move forward. That is one. Second is presidential rule is a need of the hour. One may not, government may feel that they have not done in last 11 years any sacking of the government except JNK. Now time is that national security, what Kate said very rightly, that it has got a very major security implication. And China, uh, smarting under various issues with India, will try to they kind of create unrest in Northeast, which is in interest of the deep state, because that is how the release angle is being exploited. Because if you recall, the China has got an interest in the opposite way the all the oil fields, gas fields. So from there they want to take it to Yunnan, and Tadmadaw was not very much in favor of that kind of a thing. So therefore they want to have a regime in Myanmar which is favorable to them, and for which, as he said, CPC kind of thing is a trade corridor, which they want to have operationalized. So with all these things, my sense is that we will have to work very hard and keep Myanmar, Thailand, both under kind of in the sense that confidence, because Tadmadaw may not be having except Puri तरह से control, But if you notice, there are certain things. This Arakan army operations against Bangladesh, you have to take into account. They have created a problem for Bangladesh, and this is something which is quite different. So therefore, this is something which needs to be stabilized. Situation needs to be stabilized, and presidential rule is the way ahead. That's what my
Okay, sir.
suggestion would be.
I think we will ask the final question, and then we'll go for the question answer sessions. The final question is what the solution which possibly Jan Chaturvedi has thrown open to say that possibly president's rule is the way ahead, and a civil society pressure group is the second action which we need to take, wherein people from all the concerned agencies are involved in a kind of a track two discussion which we have as far as international discussions are concerned. Something like a track two within the region to be done at the levels maybe outside of Manipur. Mizoram could be one of the places where it could be done under the governor there, because the governor of Manipur is Ajay Bhalla, who was the former Home Secretary. Possibly he has been sent with that particular intention that he must tamper the situation there based on his understanding of what are the central government compulsions, and what are the compulsions required of the local people there. So, quick comment, sir, from initially from Mr. Bhatia, and then General KH will give his overall comment, and then we will go in for the question answer session. Sir. Bhatia, just quickly give me
So,
your views. What do you think as a total man who is not at all connected with a political kind of a situation? Okay.
yeah. Sir, I think this problem has occurred now and in the past also. A lot has to do with politics. Now,
Okay.
unfortunately, in democracy, there are groups whom you need to please. The problem of the political party which is in power is that even if a particular course of action is justified, पर वो क्योंकि उसके पॉलिटिकल वोट्स को के अगेंस्ट जाती है, एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी के अगेंस्ट जाती है, तो इसलिए ये सिचुएशन जो है ये हमेशा जितनी बारी इलेक्शंस होंगे, unfortunately, in society like Manipur, where you have interests of Metis, Kukis, and Nagas, which are conflicting, because आप किसी एक community को अगर favor करते हैं, this is at the cost of some other community. Even if it is not at the cost of some other community, there are enough narratives that are created by the interested parties
Perception.
to show it that it is going against a particular community. So the way forward is, sir, I think the civil societies, firstly, they have to sit down, talk to each other, come and explain it to their respective communities what they are going to ask. It is a tall order because over a period of time, itni zyada frictions have been created only for vote politics. And external factors, like I had mentioned in the beginning of the thing, it is a periphery. It is a peripheral state. We have to make sure that the great game East is, we are not the only player. There are other powers which are involved in this. So we have to anticipate what is going to happen both from the external players and from the internal society, and then go ahead. To be very frank, it is a political problem which probably needs a very, very serious. Now, what's the solution? It is not easy. I agree, it is not easy, but the situation has to come from within the states. That's what my take is.
My battery is going down, so I will be getting the power connection. In the meanwhile, sir, I'll hand over the same question to General KH to give your sir overall comments and overall perception of how things will move if we do this particular change, or with the change which the government is trying to bring in of changing the governors. One is the home secretary, the other one in Mizoram is a person of the military background. So both of them maybe in a joint manner. Although you know how states work in our country, each state has its own dynamics. They would not like to connect with each other. So Given all these realities, how do you see the change which has already been made by the government and the suggestions which are coming, uh, which are gaining traction actually, uh, affecting money for situation, or is there any other way to deal with it? I mean, from your perspective, sir. Meanwhile, I'll go and get my power connection.
Shall I? Okay. Uh, to begin with, you know, the structures, the pillars of governance uh, have eroded to a very, very great extent. In some places, non-existence. So, therefore, whether or not the trust deficit will be established or can be, removed or to a certain extent lessened by changing the government, uh, that is something that I'm not very sure. But the fact remains that it's a political dialogue which is required to be initiated. As of now, the dialogue with the civil societies have been generally overshadowed by the armed groups. You call them by any terminology. Some say that I'm a village volunteer. As far as I'm concerned, everybody is illegal armed people who needs to be addressed. So therefore, uh, since the CSOs and any kind of intelligentsia that is not really worked for the last 20 months, and the structures, the pillars have crumbled, then will use of any other factor, I'm not very sure. Therefore, I'm going in, at least my effort or my thought is that it has to be, dialogue has to be between the, at least now, constitutional representative, the political representative who have been elected by the people. I am told in the papers that they have met, but they didn't agree to a joint statement or all that. So they need to be, these people need to be educated more. The need for such a dialogue urgently, that should begin along with, as I said, steps towards these not removal, but at least cutting off the supplies of all this illegal money and arms and weapons and drugs and whatever. This has to be done because it's a human nature that if you have money and arms, people, their mind go berserk. So therefore, I think it should be concurrent, because the whether the governor with a few advisors, whether they can do anything meaningful in such a complex and this thing, I'm not very sure with whatever the wisdom anybody may have, because it's very, very complex. So I would go in for political solution by beginning with a dialogue process. I mean, that's what I would say. At the
Sir,
same time,
I sorry, sir. Sorry for intervention. My
uh,
only case is, sir,
yeah,
in case you see each and every armed group which is there for each three communities I'm talking about, sir, there are number of armed groups of being represented by the same communities. If
yeah.
there is no unity amongst the armed groups, how do we expect unity and a situation being brought in where people will agree to a proposals?
Yeah, that is why the only way forward is dialogue, is what I'm saying, because it will be very difficult to disarm these people now. It is very difficult to stop all this drug and illegal money in the next few years. It is a long-term process. Therefore, the dialogue, give and take, give and take has to be initiated, because the military muscle, which has not yet been exercised so far, but that it may be a little too late now because things have gone too as far as the complexity is concerned. So, so there is way I would go in for multi-pronged, as I said, political, kinetic, then governance, and along with all this neighborhood management and strategic community, including international relations with the neighborhood. So it's very complex. It is not going to be that you remove somebody or you remove this governor and then suddenly some magic happens. So
Sir,
we
I was trying to compile the list of only cookies. No, just for
okay.
our viewers, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Just for our viewers. I got tired of doing it for Nagas and
You-
Metis after that.
there
No,
are
look at
26.
every
There are
sir,
Okay,
26.
26, 50.
There
So
are
I
I
think
26
could lay my
groups.
hand on
I think
21, sir.
I think we are running out of time, so we will give
One,
some time to.
one, point which I just actually one of the major issues at the moment, as I can see, and which KH can say address, the present government of the day of the state. I think they don't the Kuki community, community other than Maiti, do not have much faith in this government. And that is one of the reasons why I was recommending that in case if a governor take control and the political process, yes, of course, diplomatic pressure, yes, of course, the consensus within the country, yes, of course, but at the same time, better governance through various instrument of the constitutional provisions which are there in 356 and all those things, they need to be for the timing, because it is a, I think time is for a surgery rather than say homeopathic medicine. That is what my that is why I was recommending KH may give his, because he is the man on the ground, so he would know
Okay,
better than us.
I,
okay, sir.
I endorse
What?
your part. What you said is that time is for surgery. I totally agree. In what manner is the only thing that, but
Okay,
business as usual is not going to work.
absolutely.
Time is for surgery. And then beyond this, we can imagine as to what all possibilities are there. Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
so sir, we will conclude the of our discussion, and we would also like to include our audience, which has asked a number of questions, and with the final comment that homeopathy will not do, surgery is required. Time is now, uh, which is time now is to find an immediate solution to this pestering problem. Manipur has not seen this kind of a situation for the first time. It has gone through a number of such upheavals in the past as well, and we have found solutions. The difference now lies in how, which General KH rightly observed, there are groups which say that it should be a purely political dialogue. The suggestion came that there should be a civil society kind of a dialogue. But his point is that if there is a civil society dialogue, there are no stakeholders. So, therefore, whether they will be able to really influence the situation, that's a $1 million question, sir. Uh, Bhatia, just go over the questions
Yes,
and
sir.
flash
Yeah.
them so that
Yes,
we
sir.
will address it to the person concerned based on these questions. Over to, since you have the
Right, sir.
control.
Yes. Jack in and out of the box. Lieutenant General P.R. Shankar says that this is a political problem and one of the solutions is resignation of the chief minister. Views of the panelists, please.
Absolutely, sir. I think finally it has all boiled down to one military scholar or scholar soldier or whatever you want to call him. He's a thinking soldier. He has asked this question, and let's have quick 1 minute comments, sir, from each, and final word by General KH because he's the person there. So, General Chaturvedi, sir, do you endorse this view or not?
I totally endorse this view that it has to be a surgery has to be done. However, not to the liking of people, and people may say murder of democracy or something. But the presidential rule is very much is a constitutional provision, and that is where once it is done, then political process, civil society initiatives, strict governance, and all those things can be incorporated.
Bhatia,
Sir, I totally endorse, and I think it should have been done long time back.
Okay, my comment is very short. Provision of 356 is not permanent. It's a temporary provision. The assembly need not be dissolved. It can be put under suspended
Animation.
animation or whatever. Suspended animation, a situation brought under control through a governor's rule, and thereafter the assembly be re-invoked. That could be another variation to the model which Jan Shankar is suggesting. And finally, the comment of General KH as to what he would like situation to be, or what he would like the solution to come up as.
Like suspended animation for a short time or something which without necessarily actually murdering the democracy is what you just mentioned. But the only caveat here is that other pillars have to work, together. That is the only thing.
Absolutely.
Other pillars, that is what I was saying, they have decayed, and those pillars also simultaneously have to come. That is how I look at.
So a multi-pronged approach is a must, but with a trust being created based on what we have suggested. I hope so that satisfies General Shankar. He's a very well-known expert in the strategic community. He keeps a very close watch on Manipur situation, sir. Move on to the next question, please. Unless he has
Yes,
some comment, he can scribble it in the notepad, and we will have a look at it later. Yeah,
right. Please ask
Dan.
Daniel Stephen Corney distributing bulletproof jackets, boots, drones, etc. in Manipur to insurgents. How come our security agencies allowed to do this?
Yeah, would you like to take on, or do you have some idea about it? I think you and General Cage are the best people to answer this question because
Sir, these sort of things. Though I'm not aware of the particular incident, but possibility of this happening in the type of terrain and the type of
It was
border,
reported.
which
It was
is
reported.
I,
It was
I I
reported.
missed out. I missed out on probably, but this is highly possible, and this is for sure a sort of shortcoming of the intelligence agencies. But looking at the terrain and the type of population distribution which is there, at times it is difficult to get hold of such information in time. Even if you get information, the distances and the deployment is such that yes, this shouldn't have happened. But if since it has happened, it was a lapse on the part of intelligences and the security agencies.
sir, your views on the factual
Uh,
correctness of this particular
yeah,
statement.
this kind of activity cannot be allowed to happen in a strong in a country like ours. So, but the fact is, it has happened. But it did happen a few months back, and it came up public only now. But it did happen. So, it should be, such things should not be allowed. The intelligence agencies have to be actually on the watch out for such kind of activities.
So
What
rather than
I'll just add, I think KH initially in his comment he has mentioned that better coordination between the agencies.
that is
That
where
is the need of the
that is
hour.
that is where I was talking about the JNK model and the Manipur model.
Yes.
Yeah,
What are the
yeah,
best practices which can be taken up from there to
And
this place?
not only within Manipur, it is Manipur, Mizoram, and
Yeah.
other
Why Mizoram?
states.
Why Mizoram,
Yeah.
sir? Even Myanmar, because these guys are
Yeah.
having bases across also,
Yes.
and they are being supported from across also. And it is everybody
Yes.
is being supported from across. It's not only that
Actually,
only
actually, actually, all
way of
along, all along Northeast, sir, entire Northeast is affected.
okay. And next, we'll move on to the next question. I know
Yes,
it's
sir.
a very tricky discussion, and a lot of uh, hesitation is there in committing to a approach or B approach. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Another defense talk. Adi Achint is of the opinion that there is a spike in violence just before Parliament session starts. View of all panels, please. Sir, this
Okay.
is a
So
situation which political parties would like to exploit, and they are creating. There is वो आग में घी डालने का काम is probably the bane
नहीं,
of
आग में घी डालने का नहीं,
politics.
disrupting the parliament. This has been
Yes, sir.
reported in the press. So I think
Correct,
these are
sir.
more of a. Nobody can comment on this. This is what is
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a
And in
given.
fact,
General KH would be aware of it. Whenever there used to be a foreign secretary's visit from Pakistan, there would be some event taking place in JNK.
yes.
So I think this is a very common strategy which
Uh,
every terror group or every insurgent group tries to adopt. So we leave it at that, and it's a task of the security agencies to ensure that they do not indulge in this kind of an activity, or they control such activity. Yeah. And next question.
Sir, it seems that our viewers are quite disturbed with this action
We,
of
we have already answered. We have already
we've
answered it.
answered, but
Oh,
he says
fine.
who needs to be sacked. So I just read out the question saying that we have answered that people have to be held accountable for such lapses that have taken place. Colonel RP, sir. What
Yes.
action are in hand to check influence of Manipur situation in neighboring states? Is it working?
Yes, sir. This General KH would be the best person to comment on this, sir. Nagaland, Mizoram, Assam, these are
Uh,
the.
And similar question, I will take it in one go only. It's the same question actually.
yeah, yeah. This is uh, this the both the questions are almost the same. So
Yes.
see, in our opening discussions, we all agreed that it is, it is becoming a, it is in the making of a national security concern. That actually meant that there is a possibility of spreading this kind of situation, which is not palatable to India's security. That possibility is there. We cannot, because the entire NSCN-IM talks are going on. Then some ripples in Mizoram, and some ripples which will from outside. For example, let's say KNA. KNA-B is in Myanmar, and A is
Myanmar.
in Manipur. Then people may be the same actually. So there is this, because of this chaos, it can happen. For example, in Manipur, what happened that, between the in the Naga area, some cookies ill-treated one Naga leader. So that snowball into a big this thing, though it has been resolved now. So what happens? These things can fan out such kind of activities and become a serious issue in. And then we have talks going on the with the NSNIM. I mentioned about it, and ULFA. All militant groups are getting energized because of this situation. So it has the potential. We must isolate the Manipur situation to itself, not allow it to actually snowball into something serious in the neighboring state. That's all I can say. And I think the establishment is aware of that, and they are taking action. That's my impression. And if it does happen, then things will get more complicated.
And sir, in today's social media time, I mean, it takes very little to create and spread the discontentment. And let's not forget, sir, if we are talking about China angle, Ulfa is having a basis there. The Nagas still maintain some sort of uh, association with the Chinese. So one group being supported and to spread the thing, China would be very keen to activate the entire Northeast. So that's a cause of worry, and I'm sure the establishment, like sir you had mentioned, have taken stock of the situation and they're taking the countermeasures to avoid it. So we go on to the next questions. Kal Sharad says, is it possible to get trusted representative of Nagas, Metis, and Cookies on a common platform oblique table in the presence of representative of the center to work out a workable solution for peace?
This is that civil
Jal-
society response which
Yes,
Jan Chakraborty had suggested.
I think
yes,
anything is possible. We must we must hope for the best, and we must. There are always sane people on either side of fence, and Nobody likes bloodshed and all those things. There are rogue elements, and they need to be controlled. Even church can be taken into say confidence. Even the other civil society angles. There are people like great sportsmen from Manipur who are respected. They can be taken into lead. So there are many ways, and it is possible.
I'll just like to add
Yes.
here
Yeah,
that,
yes,
when you say
is a respected person from that area,
when
and
you
he
say that,
needs to.
how many, there are so many tribes within the Nagas, there are so many division within the Meitei, there are so many, as Brigadier आपने ये
Bhatia.
Bhatia,
Bhatia.
he was showing those 26 cookie groups. Actually, then whom do you
26.
talk to? That is a challenge. Actually, is I think the people have been trying, and I have reason to believe that, but it is not yet succeeded, and they are still, I think, doing that. I believe that is why I made and mentioned. Now the things are not working out. Those people who are supposed to be representative constitutionally, and now it is time that they sit together. That's how I, yeah.
Yeah,
Sir,
Bhatia, last
this
question.
also, we will take one more after this. This will quickly, because this has already been answered, sir. How defense community see the statement made by Mizoram Chief Minister in USA about the new nation? This was handled in our previous episode on Bangladesh also. So I think
We have
that
already discussed
we,
this
we've
in
already
detail.
we
In detail.
discussed. Yes. Chandrasekhar Murthy ji, he says dialogue is possible only when violence is controlled. Otherwise, no one will change their position. Even his continuation is, even if it is difficult, the drug and weapon angle has to be handled firmly by all agencies who have the capabilities. I think, sir, we have answered. Jalkhet, sir, I'll
We have
request you to
already, I
please.
think,
We'll conclude.
Yeah,
We'll conclude with
yeah,
this question, sir.
Yeah, I think we have had a very lively discussion. Jan KH has given us a flavor of what is likely to come. He says it's very difficult to predict. There are a number of factors which are playing out in Manipur, a host of them, not one single factor, and therefore demand the multi pronged approach. It is not only that we address one part of the problem and the other parts are left like that. Those have to be all simultaneously addressed. Unless we do that, it will be very difficult to find a solution. Political solution is one of the major factors which came out after our discussion. How do we implement that political solution is something which we need to work upon, whether it should be a total dismissal or whether it should be assembly in suspended animation. So these are issues which have to be discussed at the political level. We are not really competent enough to give our views on that particular issue. So with that, thank you very much, dear sir, for having spared your time and come for this discussion. Thank you, Chaturvedi sir, for being part of the discussion and giving your own valuable thoughts. And Bhatia, you have been wonderful with the intelligence inputs. With that, Namaskar, Jai Hind to all our viewers. Please like, subscribe to Strive Clause. These discussions will be jointly done on both the platforms, and also let me repeat, and also Gunner Shot, which Jan Shankar just came on it. I think we will make a point to have all our discussions beamed on all three platforms so that it becomes that much more widely
it's a good
accepted and
idea. Very good idea.
widely
Very good idea.
widely received by people. It doesn't matter if there are 20 people seeing or 100 people seeing or 1000 people seeing or 10,000 people seeing. The idea is it should spread from north, south, east, and west. Some people will listen to it, they will convey it to the others, and that's the way we look at the thing. That's the way the government will also get the of what has to be done. Thank you. Jai Hind. Namaskar. Pranam.
Jahid, sir. Jahid, sir, signing
So
off.